stretch, so I could probably blast the video out. So we talked today about homelessness, what it really is, why it really exists, and who gives a fuck if anybody watches this. It's an idea I want to put out, and I'm not trying to get viewers, so I don't give a fuck. This is the thing. I see and interact with a lot of homelessness because currently I am located in the Banana Republic of California. And it's probably the least intelligently run and most corrupt state outside of a sub-Saharan African republic, Banana Republic. So outside of that, California is overregulated. It's one of the most beautiful states in the United States, hands down, period, no questions asked. I mean, it has deserts, it has mountains, it has snow, it has forests, it has rainforests, it has everything. It has, subtropical areas down in San Diego. It's a beautiful state. The largest trees that ever existed on planet Earth are here in the millions. So California is an exceptional piece of real estate, multiple ecological systems, endemic species that are endangered and specific to this area alone. As a matter of fact, I have traveled through multiple ecosystems within the state. So anyway, all that aside, this is a state where you find more homelessness than probably anywhere else in the world. Like literally in the world. I was in, developing nations, and I did not see as much homelessness as I have seen and experienced here in California. So what's the deal? What is homelessness? Why does it exist? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the real problem behind it and actually what homelessness actually is. Like, what the fuck is homelessness? So first of all, let's just get the first thing out of the way. What is homelessness? That is, or houselessness, unhoused. It's when you do not have a home to live in and you typically are vagrant, wandering the streets, and that sort of a thing. Homelessness is often associated with mental illness, drug abuse, social ineptitude, all of these things, okay? That's generally what homelessness is. If you want to think of what the homeless look like, think of a man, typically a man, often men that look like myself, but typically a man, disheveled looking, distraught, pushing a cart, walking the streets, talking to himself, screaming at God of the sky. And that's basically that's homelessness, right? Now, that's kind of homelessness you see in California and perhaps in other states. Now, that's not actually intelligent. Why? Because humans have lived humans have lived nomadic lives for tens of thousands of years. Humans have traveled around, they've lived in tents, they've lived under the stars, they've done a lot of things that's just being human. You travel around, you pick a spot, you stay there for a couple of months while it's lush and verdant. You can hunt animals, you can eat the food that's growing there. And then when it dies down, you move on to the next spot. And you do that cyclically for thousands of years. There are many cultures around the world, the Mongolians, Sub-Saharan Marian people, like people in Mauritania, that have done homelessness, right? So it's not like homelessness is this weird, crazy thing or houselessness. But the nomadic lifestyle is a real thing, and I'm doing that right now. I'm living the nomadic life. And pardon me for those of you who are in the chat. I'm driving, so I can't answer all of them, but I will say hi. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. If this is interesting to you, make sure you like, share, subscribe. So we talked about what homelessness is, and now we're going to talk about, what's the real reason behind it. Like I said, humans have done the nomadic life for tens of thousands of years. There's nothing wrong with being without a stationary house. I'm currently living in my car. I love it. I've learned to love it because I was hating it until I changed my perspective and said, I can live in my car and save $60,000 a year and put that into my kids, put that into buying land, put that into a real life. And so, I've stepped away from the matrix in that sense. But humans have been doing this for a long time. And so why is homelessness a problem? Why do people suffer with homelessness? Why do they look like they've lost their mind and gone crazy? It's not because they're mentally ill. It's not because they're drugged out and stupid druggies. It's because they're socially ill. They don't have people who love them. They don't have people who believe in them. They do not have people who see them. And anytime they are perceived or observed in society, people hate on them, they marginalize them, and they treat them like they're trash. That's what causes the kind of homelessness you see in the wonderful banana republic called California. And it's typically men. You don't see too many homeless women. You do see them, but you definitely don't see attractive homeless women unless you're in Santa Cruz or San Diego. Then you see some really hot homeless women, which is like, you're hot. Why the fuck are you homeless? You're a female. You got a fucking wallet built into your body. What are you doing? Anyway, I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. If you're an adult, you get it. Like, you should never be homeless and hot and female. That should never exist. I know, but it does happen in Santa Cruz. Anyway, I digress. Typically, most people that are homeless, disheveled, crazy looking kind, are men. And when you talk to them, you hear about their lives. A lot of times they were put in that position because having to pay child support, they went to jail, or maybe not. Maybe their spouse died, is in one man's case. I mean, it's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just mental illness. It's not just drug abuse, okay? There's a lot of other things that go into it. So there's that. So one of the things I noticed too is that people who are homeless beat the shit out of themselves. They're like, I'm a worthless person. Society tells them they're worthless and that they're unacceptable and they're undesirable. And then they say, oh, I'm such a failure. I'm such a loser. I'm such a fucking worthless person. And I can tell you how many times I've encountered that in dealing with the homeless, with the unhoused people. I'm unhoused, but I have a different perspective. And there's such a despair, and it's men typically, because men have been conditioned to say, okay, I am only as valuable as the amount of money I can provide to my children and their mom. Otherwise, I'm a deadbeat, I'm a loser, I'm a bum. And those of us men who, and I'm not concluding this, but men who have bought into the matrix idea of kill yourself, go to a 9-to-5, destroy your existence, kill God within yourself, and you're a good guy. Those guys who have bought into the idea of self-destruction and slavery, who've chosen to be slaves, because slavery is always a choice. Those men who have chosen to be slaves judge the homeless men, judge the men who don't pay child support, because they say, oh, they're bums, oh, they're deadbeats, oh, they're whatever, right? And I'm saying the true reason that we have homelessness in the richest state, on one of the richest places on earth, is the 5th largest economy in the world, last time I heard, is because we live in a dark age. We live in a dark age. We are coming out of it. We're going into a golden age. In golden ages, you do not have homelessness. Big quotes, right? You don't have people walking around screaming at the sky crazy, right? You don't have that. Those people are usually valued by society such that their perspective, their opinion, their ideas, and their skills are valued. And so those people who see things and speak to the sky and whatever, they're called shaman, or they're called witch doctors or sorcerers or sages. And from childhood, they are valued. And so they don't grow up hating themselves because they can't fit into a society that's dead. They can't fit into a society that's broken. And so thank you for your comments. Those of you who made comments, I can't read them while I'm driving. I'll read them later and I'll respond. So that's the main thing. I see a lot of people that have been houseless. And by the way, if you are unhoused, or if you are living the nomadic life, we're not going to call it homelessness, we're going to call it nomadic life. If you're living the nomadic life, I want you to love yourself enough to take a minute to stop and say, no, I'm not fucked up. I'm not wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. There's something fucking wrong with society. I don't have mental illness. I don't have a drug problem. Well, if you do have a drug problem, you got a drug problem. Get that fixed. The thing is, you have social illness. You have been marginalized by society because you are choosing to think, perhaps think with your brain. Another thing that a lot of people that are housed do, they say, I don't want to be going to a job, some pissant telling me what to do. I don't want that. I just don't want that for myself. And so there are a lot of people that are choosing to, disconnect from the matrix, so to speak. So the main reason that we have houselessness or homelessness, or really the insane versions of homelessness, is because we are coming out of a dark age. We've been in a 12,000 year dark age. 6,000 years of it have been really terrible. and it's been, a time of slavery and scarcity and all that stuff. And people that are homeless and unhoused, when society evolves to the point where it can value these people and say, you know what, these people are so important to us, that's when we'll start to see the golden age click, 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 click. Of course, AI and quantum computing is going to fuse, and then we're going to have a sentient technology which will help to eliminate a lot of this stuff. But soon these people will help us to understand the unseen realm. We're actually going to value their perspectives, their opinions, and their place. We're not going to treat them like trash. We're not going to marginalize them. And more importantly, they will learn to love themselves. I cannot tell you how many homeless men I've spoken to where I'll be doing something and I'm like, yo, man, like one of them was trying to wash his clothes and he took his shirt off. He just had his boxers on because this is all he had are his clothes. He has got to wash them. And I'm like, yo, man, I got all these extra shirts. I've washed my clothes. I've got surplus. So I'm like, yo, you can have my stuff. He's like, no, don't give me your best stuff. Don't give me your stuff. These look too nice. And they were raggedy shirts. A lot of men who are on the street are homeless who've been shat upon by society and been told you're worthless and you're nothing. And unfortunately for them, they don't have the courage and the self-love and the relationship with God to say, I am valuable. I matter. And now, of course, there's women. And like I said, there's in San Diego and Santa Cruz, you see some hot homeless young women. I'm like again, I'm saying you're so you're attractive. Don't be homeless, okay? Like this, I know too many girls who know how to finagle that. You don't have to sleep with nobody, but you can live in somebody's house if you're that hot. I'm just saying. I don't have a lot of pity for hot homeless women. I'm like, you don't need to be homeless. Like. A homeless dude, it can't exist because nobody gives a fuck about men. Men's lives are worth damn near nothing if they don't have money or a community or a brotherhood. Like if that's what you as a man, you got to have a brotherhood. You got to have a community. You got to be tapped in, somehow and have valuable friends and people that love you. A lot of the homeless men don't have a community of supportive, powerful people. And as a result, they're treated like shit and they feel like shit and they hate themselves. And you can see it on their faces. And they start to pretend to be crazy. I'm going to be straight with you. Fucking, it's a lie. I've seen homeless people cussing at the sky. Fuck you guys, all this stuff. And then they get to a stoplight and they stop. And they don't walk through and get run over by a car. Now, I have seen some that walk right through. But it's like, I know a lot of it is acting. Because it's like they've given up. Nobody loves them. Their parents may be dead. Perhaps their wife and children left them because of drugs, perhaps, but perhaps because they weren't making enough money, or perhaps because they want to pursue a dream and that dream fell in the trash. And it's going to happen sometimes when you're pursuing your dreams. You're eventually going to get there, but sometimes you're going to fail. Yes, you're going to fucking fail sometimes. But if you stay on your grind and believe in yourself as much as you can, when nobody else believes in you, God still believes in you. Stay on your fucking grind. I know it's hard. I've been there. It's fucking scary and it's hard and it can be terrible. But these guys have been through the hell, the cauldron, and perhaps they're in the dark night of the soul and their legs have been cut out from beneath them and nobody gives a fuck about them. Now, like I said, if you're a hot young woman, there's no fucking reason you should be homeless. Don't ever be homeless. You can find, okay, don't get with a weirdo who's going to try to always have sex with you because that's annoying. Because I have met, like I said, I've met hot young women that were homeless and they had to deal with that. But that aside, you can always manipulate shit because you're hot and get a place to stay, okay? I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be like that, but we live in a gynocentric society, okay? Let's just fucking be honest about it. But men, especially older men who have dedicated, a lot of these homeless men were teachers and policemen and military vets, so many vets on the street. Nobody gives a fuck about them. And they gave their life for this country, man. They gave their life for this country, man. And we treat them like shit. They stood in the... You know what it's like to have a fucking... Okay, you know how it's like to have an explosive go off near your head or near your body or near you? And have that happen 5-6 times a day? And then have it happen and blow up with your friends who you love more than anything in the world? That's what these guys have been through. These ladies have been through. So, homelessness only exists in savage societies. California is a savage, underdeveloped banana republic. And it happens to be the 5th largest colony in the earth, last time I heard, right? And it's absolutely unacceptable that we have men and women living and children living on the streets without a place to stay, and suffering through it. It's absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Now, people like me who've chosen this life, I've chosen to be nomadic because that's my design. God made me nomadic. I come from Mauryan people, we're nomadic. So that's just what I am, and I love it, and I've learned to love it. But the homelessness epidemic, pandemic of people suffering, being like screaming at the sky and pissing on the street and smelling like trash, like that's a lot of that is contrived. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it's a lie. And a lot of it is because we live in societies that are savage, that are underdeveloped, that are gummy worm societies made up of meat puppet scenery people. And when you accept and tap into your Most High, the Most High within you, you can actually help to change that. For one person, maybe. You know, you can contribute belief. Like you can believe in that person without saying a word to them. Say, yo, I know God has got you. You don't have to say it, but just your belief. You visualize that person and you believe in your heart for them. That may give them the courage to pull themselves up out of their funk. Even if they don't ever see you, even if they don't ever hear your words, all that, you know. So homelessness is a thing that happens in savage, underdeveloped societies, and it's something that we are going to overcome. We're going to see a time when humanity transcends cancer, child abuse, of course, homelessness in the bad sense, right? Where people are marginalized, treated like trash, living on the streets, you know, dying and drugged out and all that stuff, that version of homelessness. And we're going to see a change. So if you are unhoused right now and you are suffering and you feel bad about it, but you have a good brain and you believe enough in yourself to kind of try and figure things out, I want to encourage you to change your perspective from being homeless to being nomadic. Understand that people have done what we're doing, living in caravans, the Roma people of Europe, the Mongolians, the Mauryans in the Sahara, and in Mali and places like Chad. And, you know, we have done the nomadic life for a long time. If you have a vehicle that you can live in, look up some of the beautiful van life, car life, RV life stuff, and get tapped into the mindset of a community that says, we can choose this life, we can do this, we can have this freedom, and we can do it with dignity. We can do it clean. We don't gotta stink and look crazy. We can do it with dignity. So I want to encourage you, if you are unhoused at this time, don't beat up on yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. If you are scared because you got 1 month's worth of rent left and $0 and you're looking at being unhoused, I'm here to tell you as well, maybe take a leap. Take that last month of rent, throw it, all your stuff in storage. If you don't have kids, you know, jump in your vehicle and figure it out. Find your freedom. Still go to your job. Get a membership at a gym. Wash your body every day. Obviously, your coworkers are going to get you fired if you stink. So don't do that. But there's a better life for you on the other side of this fear and all this stuff. Don't ever beat yourself up. Especially if you're a man. Because men, like, our whole value is based on what we can provide for others. If you can't give your woman and her kids, and your kids, might be her kids, certain things, maybe you did that for 12, 15 years. Like, you did that consistently for them. And then you got, you know, kicked in the balls and like, fuck you, you're not good enough. Because you had, you know, a hard time doing it. You were falling apart. Don't beat yourself up. Now, if you're an attractive young lady and you are homeless or houseless or live in the van life, car life, obviously don't have sex with somebody to live in their house. Okay, I'm just being straight. But I'm just saying, like, if you're really attractive, like, you can live in a I know so many hot girls. I'm telling you, you can live in a mansion And you don't have to sleep with anybody. You're just part of the scenery. Like, just be okay with being scenery. Be okay with being like pretty pieces of furniture. And do that long enough until you get your own shit together, okay? You don't got to sell your body, okay? I'm not saying do that. Don't ever do that if that's not for you, okay? You know, that's terrible. It's a form of slavery. It's a sin, and I'm against it. But that's what I got to say about homelessness. I wish I could have read the comments, y'all. I'm driving. I'm not going to read the comments. But if you're out there and you're struggling and it's hard, look, love yourself. Don't beat yourself up. There's nothing wrong with you. And don't start screaming at the sky and cussing God out because, you know, you're breaking, you know. Maybe do it, but just find a quiet, secret place to do it so that they don't throw you in the pen and inject you with drugs and then you go crazy. And then they put you back out in the street like one flew over the cuckoo nest. They do a lobotomy on you. And then you go out, you know, screaming and all that stuff. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. Thank you guys for watching. A lot of you guys jumped in there. A lot of you dropped likes. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Stay strong. Stay Apex. Love you guys.